G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who are going to bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Hef and this week I am joined by the OG co-host of the podcast. Kaes is here to talk about some forwards. How you going, mate?
I'm very well, mate. So I am the forward specialist in fantasy world, and I thought, I should come back for this pod.
Well, that's the thing. I thought you were like, because you always like on Twitter and that you're like, well, when you were on Twitter and that you was like, oh, I hate footy, turning it off, rah rah. So I was like, oh, he doesn't watch enough footy anymore to actually want to talk about this. I don't think he's really interested. So I didn't actually invite you on for the forward podcast. I had someone else lined up, and then you're like, well, I got my forward podcast.
Can you imagine just absolutely booting the co-founder of the podcast?
I wasn't
That's
booting.
how big Hef has got. The Hollywood Hef has just got too big.
I honestly thought that you did not care about it anymore and you didn't want to do it. So I was pleasantly surprised when you did put your hand up and I rearranged some, shuffled the deck chairs on the sinking ship.
And, a sinking ship.
I was joking. Rearranged some things and got you on the show to do your beloved forwards podcast.
I think me leaving's been the best thing for you, Hef. You've just gone bigger and better, and now you're basically there's like a little holy trinity. It's like Selby, Warney, Hef.
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's more so, I don't know if it's much to do with you leaving. It's more to do with the introduction of AI and how I can 10 times my work, my resourcefulness and all that sort of stuff, my efficiency with that. I think that's probably coincide with that more than anything.
I was dragging you down, let's be honest.
No, it's just a new tool comes out and you can help out. But anyway, you're back. You got a new podcast these days. Probably should give it a plug at the top. I do.
Yeah, if you like horse racing, especially in South Australia, the podcast is called Front Runner. We dissect basically all the races at Morpheville or wherever on a Saturday. Obviously come into the beautiful Hollywood Hef Studios to do that.
I think we're calling it Keeper Studios these days. I'm still running with the name, what I'm actually doing with the name. But it's good. It keeps me employed.
Yes.
Which is great. So if you want to go out there, actually just do it. Get on Instagram, get on Twitter, X. You're on Facebook as well. Just look up Dare to Dream and just follow that page.
Please.
It makes us all look good. It keeps me in work.
It does. Keeps this podcast running probably.
Yeah, it keeps this one probably. Yeah, it keeps this one funny. I don't have to go back to doing other work that I don't want to do. I can just record podcasts and things like that. So please go out there, give it a follow. Dare to Dream, look it up. It's a good thing and it's a good fun little project we've both been working on.
We have.
All right. While we're plugging things, we may as well plug the Keeper app. Kaes, can you just tell me something nice about the Keeper platform? What do you love the most about it? Because you were very vocal about the old app that we used to use.
Yes. What I love about this app is, I think like for me, I don't like going into different websites and looking at different stats. Obviously, I love the Keeper League podcast website for the real nitty gritty, but I just love the amount of stats you can get off the different interfaces, I suppose, on the Keeper platform. Like
that was a big thing for you. You loved it when you could just see all your stats and everything there.
Correct.
Back in the day when it moved to the other app.
Yeah, it was horrific.
It was hard to actually get
But obviously, I'm just looking right now, recent form, but then you can go to like season stats, what they were averaging, how many goals, how many tackles. I love that kind of thing because I think, especially for for this podcast, for example, with forwards, we always talk about like how marks are so important, how tackles are so important for forwards and stuff like that. It's not just about kicking goals or sometimes getting the footy. It's about those extra kind of, plus fours and the like. So I just love that you can see all of this stuff on the platform and well done to Ryan for doing such a fantastic job with it.
It is an awesome platform and there's some pretty new exciting stuff coming soon, but there's been some new things that have been added. The big thing is the draft room now is just so much more user friendly. I think there's a chat in there now as well. So, it probably doesn't really affect us because we all draft in the same place, but if you're online and doing it, you can actually talk to each other while you're drafting and all that sort of stuff. But they've added priority picks. They've also added a new lockout lineup feature if you take too long to respond to trade requests. So if you're sick of sending trade requests in your league and no one responding, if they don't you can put a setting on. If they don't respond within a set amount of time, it locks out their team, so they have to respond before they can do anything, which is pretty cool.
It'll cause chaos in our league.
Yeah, we should actually probably bring that in.
Probably should actually.
I reckon it might get people sub. But we're a pretty competitive league. All the competitive leagues I know use the Keeper Fantasy platform because it's the only one that's kind of doing all this stuff seriously, I think. Yep. So, go check it out. It's worth the money that you pay for it. It's awesome.
Totally. Yeah, one of the single season leagues that we had been previously doing on the old platform, we've brought it across this year purely because of that reason. It's the best by a mile.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, on to the best bit of housekeeping. I brought out the individual ranking tool before. Now, I know Kaes is always so on top of the resources that I put out and really follows everything the Keep League does these days. I definitely wasn't just showing it to him and explaining him how it all works.
Good.
But yeah, I think he was pretty happy with it once he saw it. So the individual rankings tool is out for gold members. Basically, it's just a ranking tool which is kind of like the community ranking tool where it shows you 3 players and you choose which one you'd pick first, and then it organizes your ranks for you without having to do a lot of thinking. But there's also drag and drop features so you can adjust players. You can enter ranks manually. If you want him at number 1, you can click on a player and put him at number 1. And there's some filter features as well that lets you knuckle down on certain ranks and helps you just hone in on those and getting the absolute nuances within your ranks perfectly right. So that's now available for gold members. My personal ranks will be out, not this week, but the week after. I'm spending the whole next week ranking. And then they'll be out early in the second week of February. So get excited for those.
Sounds like a job that needs either a lot of coffee or a lot of liquor.
Yeah, I've got the time to do it. I'm just going to knuckle, set aside a few days to actually kind of get it done. I actually have most of my general ranks done. I've now just got to organise them into like contending and rebuilding. I do rank 400 players, so that covers most leagues.
Yeah, you're a psycho.
I'm a psycho. And I rank them for contending teams, rebuilding teams, and I give like a neutral general rank, overall type rank as well. So stay tuned for those. But there's the other resources up there. There's the spreadsheets, there's the community ranks, there's the breakout tracker. There's lots of stuff up there for you guys to get started on as well. We also are doing little extra editions of these podcasts at the moment for members as well. So an extra 10, 15 minutes just mentioning a few players that weren't quite good enough to make the show doc this week. The deep dives there. All right, let's get stuck into it. Talking forwards. As per usual, we start with the undervalued players. The first one, I know you've got a lot of time for this guy, Kaes.
Oh, yeah.
It's Sam Flanders. Averaged 68.3 last season. What went on, Kaes?
He got absolutely dimmer hardwicked up in the Gold Coast. From my understanding, injured pre-season and just was really behind the 8 ball when obviously Gold Coast took some massive strides forward and they just had to put Flanders back in, more of a permanent forward position. And, it was just the Anderson and Real show. So I think the move to St Kilda will be very beneficial. And obviously Jack Steele left as well, which I think is only going to be really, really positive for Flanders this year. Yeah, I think so too. What do you think the average is going to be this season? Do you think he pushes 100 plus as a forward? Ooh, good question. What was he? So 2 years ago he was 108, and the year before was 89. So I think somewhere pretty safely you could say he's in and around that 95 to 100, I reckon, this year.
I think so. I think 100. I think low hundreds, I reckon. Because that 108 was as a halfback flanker predominantly. Won't get that. So won't get all the kick-ins and all that sort of
Just
stuff.
Just shows he can score, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Will he lose it? He'd lose his forward status next year. That would be the issue.
Yeah, 100%. But a lot of people are knocking him for that. But if you look at it,
he's still getting 100 average midfielder.
But also someone like Cozzy Pickett, because now they've got Latrell Pickett. If you're looking at the rankings and the guys that are closely ranked to him, Isaac Rankin could lose forward status. Cozzy Pickett could lose forward status. Then you're looking at Sam Darcy, Riley Thilthorpe, those kind of guys in that range. I'd be picking Sam Flanders probably ahead of those guys as a long-term midfielder.
He's 24.
Than I would for
he's still got probably the 4 prime years of his life coming in as a mid. Happy days.
Correct. Next one on the list is Justin McInerney. Had the 78.6 average last season. Moved to a inside midfield role this season. Instead of that kind of, forward inside mid kind of swapping and just pinch hitting kind of in there. Instead of that kind of sole wing role that he used to have. If that continues, it'll be fine. Do you think that's the role that will continue for him?
He's an interesting one for me because I think he might be one of the safest forward options this year. For me, he's a little more of a single season play. I traded him in a keeper league purely because I needed some forwards just a couple of weeks ago. I just feel really bored about it. He's just a boring kind of I'm not excited about his hype. I'm not excited about his ceiling. It's just he's just kind of a play you probably need to have just because he's got a nice floor.
The thing that concerns me is I look at Sydney. I've kind of been looking at it. Their midfield on paper looks really great. Their top 3 looks great. But it probably does lack a little bit of depth, I'm thinking. But it's more so on the outside players I'm worried about. If I look at the Sydney lineup, who's playing on the wings for Sydney? They got rid of Florent. Then they played Lloyd there a lot, but I feel like they didn't really offer him. They offered him a rookie contract. I feel like he's their break glass in case of emergency. But I was I could just see that a world where McInerney does go back to the wing. to help out. That's all.
And like what was 2 years ago, I just had a look. Then he's kind of that 75 to 80 average on the wing, which is perfect. I said that's the thing. He's just a really boring player as a forward, and you know, it's just more will he hold it long term? Probably not. But like, does it really matter? I really think he's just a safe single season play for this year.
Yeah, I can just see him being a low 70s guy and then losing forward status. That's like, it's just a danger. You know what I mean? Like
if you're kicking off a keeper league, he's not that interesting for me. But I think if you're playing a single season league,
contending, like you take a 70 average every day of the week.
For sure.
Harry Mackay, he averaged the 78.3, which is actually quite high when you consider just watching Carlton, you know, having a look at how they played last season. But the interesting part is he played the last 4 games without Kerno and averaged 96 in those 4 games. Can the Blues just actually like get the ball to him so he can do a similar type thing? And, you know, surely he can't be any worse than last year. Surely he's going around that mark again.
Yeah, well, if he can be fit, obviously he played 12 games last year for that 78 average. Year before was 82. I think that's pretty bang on the money for what he can be.
Yeah.
Looks like they probably play Reedy as a second forward pinch hit ruck.
Or Kemp. I don't know. Like, I'm really struggling like to fit because like Reedy and that means where do you play Pitnet? I guess you got next from the bench. You can rest him on the bench.
Yeah, I'm not really all over that. What the rucks will look like and whether they really want to blood Reedy, seeing as they brought him across. And I don't really think Pitnet's like someone who's going to win them a flag kind of ruckman. But saying that, like,
he is a good hit out to advantage ruckman though. That's his thing.
But then saying that the last kind of few premiership ruckmen haven't been very sexy at all. So.
That's true. And they never are really. You know, that's why we punt rucks everywhere, like in real life as well. But yeah, I think Mackay will be fine as a forward option this year. Ed Langdon, always undervalued because he's usually a midfielder that just averages in the 70s, but he's picked up forward status because he played a bit more inside time last year and then obviously rested up forward. Do you think that role continues?
Probably not, because I think they're really going to blood those, you know, Langdons and Langfords, and looks like Rivers is going to have more time in the midfield this year. Who's the other young kid they got that's talented? I
know they're going to talk about. He plays on the wing.
Yeah.
Caleb Windsor.
Windsor. So like I think that this is like a bit of a, you know, they've moved on track. They've moved on Oliver. Like I think this is their regeneration time. I think Steele will be that, you know, older soul in the guts with Jack Viney, but then I think they're going to play a lot of those kids through their Cozzy Pickett as well. Yeah,
mine more so, I was thinking like, how do they replace like Bowie going down? I think there's another injury in defence. And then does that move Rivers back? And then does that open up a spot in the midfield? That's potentially my thinking as well.
Obviously McVee left too. So
yeah, exactly. That's the other one actually. Jarth, obviously, he's the other one that's come in, so he'll probably take McVee's spot. But yeah, I don't really know how it all shifts around.
I just kind of see Langdon almost as what Justin McInerney is. Like, if you're kind of contending, he's a great one to have. If it's a single season draft, great one to have. But like, Langdon's going to be 30 this year. Probably, you know, longer term player, not for me. But I think he's just a safe, consistent, you know, 70 to 80 scorer this year.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And as a forward, you know, he's going to take that every day of the week.
Yep.
Can Jack Gunston, he had a 74 average, but that was kind of...
This is the Keeper League podcast, right? Like,
yeah, I know.
We're looking at like long-term players.
Well, no, the thing is though, like if you're contending, these old guys can usually come cheap.
Yes, totally cheap.
And so can you pick up someone like Jack Gunston if you're having a tilt at a flag?
100%.
And do you think he goes around that average again?
He was very, very good last year.
But that's the thing, like I was just about to say, like that 74 average is kind of like a tale of two halves as well. Like he was ratchet at the start of the year. Like was he not even best 22?
I don't know about that, but
I can't remember.
He kicked a shit ton of goals last year.
I reckon after about round 4 or whatever, he just took off.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
He was undrafted in our league, Kaes.
Yeah,
like, he was picked up.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he was picked up in the mid-season draft.
Like, why would you draft him?
Yeah,
realistically. But like that's his. When was it? 2019 was the last time he averaged more than 74.
Yeah.
Like, you know, 56, 55. Like, he hasn't really put together that kind of season. Averaged 3 goals a game. That is good going.
Flash in pan? Was he just one-off season or can he do it again?
Well, I'm more concerned about will he just kind of hit that cliff? Like, you know, we've seen he's 34. We've kind of seen some of those guys where it's just like they're going really well and then all of a sudden it's just like, whew.
Yeah.
And Hawthorn are one of that team. Hawthorn's that team that, you know, they're well and truly contending this year. Like, does Sam Mitchell just make that hard call and be like, Jack, look, the game's gone past you? Like, he could be one that he's a risk-free reward play here, I think.
Yeah. I reckon so too. He's going to go so late in drafts. It's not really going to matter.
And that's true. Yeah. But potentially last year was this little rose-coloured glasses year.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, yeah. And plus, like, if Hawthorn want to get better there, the young key forwards have to stand up as well. Mm-hmm. So, like, they probably...
And they've recruited that young Schubert kid. And
yeah. So. And then Lewis and Colchester can jump and all that sort of stuff. So they're probably going to have to move towards those kind of guys as
Interesting year for Jack.
Is it Shea or Shy Bolton? I
Don't know.
Never remember. Shea Bolton? Pretty sure it's Shea.
Shea.
Yeah. He averaged 70 last season. He's just not getting back to those Richmond heights, is he? But he's just a solid 70 guy. He's not getting midfield time.
Not in that midfield. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with like a Murphy Reid too. Erasmus was good on the wing. Yeah, I just... If Fremantle are going to contend, they kind of need Shea up forward, kicking goals, doing some miraculous stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so he's their best kind of small forward operator. I know they got Dudley and that can come in, but
I kind of think last year everyone was kind of really keen on Bolton being like potentially that flyer and going, new club, can do some really good stuff.
Continue the midfield role,
and it just didn't come. So I think that's probably the blueprint for going forward.
It's funny, like, because these are the kind of players that make so much sense, like afterwards. In hindsight, like it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, of course that's never going to happen because they've got 3-4 gun midfielders and he's so dynamic up forward. Of course that's what was going to happen. But like you get built up in this hype pre-season and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Adam Treloar is the other one. So Geordie DeSena is so keen on him. He keeps pushing him on us like, Treloar, got to get him in your top 100 ranks, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know, like, I think the big thing is because he averaged 110 only 2 years ago and was injury interrupted last season. I just don't think it's in the Dogs' best interest to keep running guys like him and Libba through the midfield. Unless they're pretty certain they're going to go close to a flag. I reckon they're better off getting the likes of Fraser and Sanders in, don't you think?
You'd think so. Like, he's a bit of a break glass in case of emergency play for the Dogs, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, like, he's 32, coming off a season where he only played 4 games. Like, that's a big concern.
And that season where he went 110, there was no Kennedy in the side as well.
Yeah,
and then you've got these
really
kids coming through. It's like, I feel like they might move past him and he's like legitimately a forward line kind of player.
Yeah.
And if he plays at all.
Oh, he's a genuine midfielder who can play really good stuff forward.
And he'll probably get injured. So if you're contending, like even with contenders, like my season was basically lost last season because of all the injuries I got in the last 4 rounds. You know what I mean? And these are the players you just want to avoid, I think, for that.
Libba injured, so there's still a holder field. Didn't you just try and offer me him in a trade?
Yeah, definitely. I tried to weasel the shit out of you.
Fucking hell.
No, Libba's just done a calf, but he'll be back for the round 1, they reckon.
Weasel behaviour.
Yeah.
Weasel behaviour.
That's it. Like, Libba is not making my best 12 at this point. That's how strong the Hoofers keepers are.
All your keepers are bloody over 30.
They are old, but they'll still score. All of them will score 80 plus this year, I reckon. Anyway, let's move on to Cade Chandler. I don't think he's going to go much higher than a 68 average that he did last season, but he played up on the wing a lot more. And I'm not expecting huge things, but I think for a forward, you're going to be able to pick up pretty late. I think Cade Chandler is just like a value kind of guy. He's better than...
This might be the most boring person we're talking about today.
He's better than his ADP. He's still pretty young as well,
He's 26.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, I thought he was a bit younger than that. I thought he was like 24.
Right, this is just use the keeper platform. You get all the stats here.
I'm using my show doc. It doesn't have ages in there. And then the last one, obviously, is Charlie Curnow. Sorry, not the last one, but the next one is Charlie Curnow. Now, he only averaged 65 last season, but like, he was very injured last season. Well, like weird shit kept happening to him. So like he'd start the game against West Coast where he played a quarter and then he was just subbed at quarter time, and then played the next week. Like he was fine after that. And then there was another game where he copped a knock late in the last quarter when he was on like 70 or something like that, and then just sat for the rest of the game. So that kind of like really hurt his average. So like I think the average doesn't tell the full story for what he can actually go at, because there were games where he'd go like 80 plus or like, high 70s without even kicking a goal last season, and then I guess the other thing is like he's had Mackay with him. He's probably got less competition for goal kicking at Sydney. Do you think what do you think he averages this season?
Well, just looking back in his history, personal best year of 87.
Yeah.
And last year of 66 was basically his 3rd worst. So, like, I think it's comfortably somewhere in between that. I did like the stat that the traders put up on their articles on the AFL site. When Lance Franklin moved from Hawthorn to Sydney, he improved his average from 78 to 95.
Yeah, that's Buddy Franklin, though.
It is Buddy Franklin, yes. But, like, Sydney are a shit ton better team than Carlton. Like, he's going to get, like... Imagine having Golden or Warner or Heaney kicking the ball down your throat each time. Like this could be very, Shea Bolton, new club, how good's this going to be? But I'm not expecting 95. Don't get me wrong. Like
he's better than the 65.
He can easily get back to like an 80.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Easily.
I think high 70s is going to be the worst case scenario for him this season, providing he doesn't get injured and Sydney just sort their shit out and don't,
80.
capitulate
I'm
like
going
they did.
80, 85.
Yeah, nice. Well, he's one of my keepers.
Why don't you trade him to me instead of bloody injured Tom Liberatore?
I can only have my scraps. Ben Ainsworth, next one. Is he someone in line for a new club bump? He did have a 75 average season once.
I've always been a fan of Ben Ainsworth, so he's kind of a guy that would be on my radar come drafts.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be a bit. He might be a guy that's on a lot of people's hit lists, but 27, potentially can get a nice role at Carlton.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Like, I think it's more like one of those players you'd draft if you're kind of contending because he'll probably play each week, and I think he could put up like a 70 average if everything goes his way.
Yep.
Wouldn't probably make you 12 keepers at the end of the year.
No,
but
definitely.
One of those kind of
he's
players.
one I'll be highly monitoring across like preseason sim and trial matches.
Yeah, exactly. Just as a handy little forward option. Speaking of handy forward options, DeGoey, any faith there if he returns to full fitness?
God, I just feel like I've owned him heaps and he's just never delivered. And
I traded him too, I reckon, initially.
Yeah, and then I've traded him on because it's just a pain. Last year was bad.
Yeah, but he's like so injured and been injured pretty much for like the last 2 years.
So what's his last nine games last year, then 13, 18, 16, 20, then 8, 6.
He's never playing a full season.
He's never played a full season.
Yeah.
That's fact.
Yeah. And these guys have kind of changed my approach when you're contending. Like I'd always say like someone like DeGoey is like the guy you chase when you're contending because he's a senior player. You're going to get him lower down the ranks, and he should go. Well, I think he should go 70 if he's fully fit as a forward. But like you're going to miss him for important games. He's going to screw you over.
Oh, he can easily be 75, no dramas. But what's Collingwood's like lineup looking like this year?
It's not that too dissimilar. So with Collingwood, and this is going to piss off a lot of Collingwood fans, I think they're a shithouse team talent-wise, and that's bad. That's harsh because you got Dacos and stuff like that. Not shithouse, but like a lower team talent-wise, but a more well-coached team, good system team. Because if you look at their key forwards, like they're not good. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, that's not too dissimilar from other grand finals. Like, if you look at Brisbane last year, you've had Gallup and you had Logan Morris, like two kids playing as key forward, and it's all the small forwards. So maybe that's just the modern game. You know what I mean? But but if you look at like their key defenders, their key forwards down the spine, it doesn't look great. But I think it's just littered with enough elite talent that kind of pushes it up. It's combined with like every player knows their role in the system, that sort of stuff as well.
Once again, it would not surprise me if they missed the 10.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I think,
I
think someone like Dacos is like good enough just to lift them up.
How long can you rely on Sidebottom, Pendlebury, DeGoey?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they're going to fall off a cliff eventually. That's why I think that's why I'm kind of hot on Josh Dacos getting out of defence and moving back into midfield
potentially.
and stuff
and they got
like
a lot
that.
of injuries. Like Houston's injured. They've got a lot. It's a bit rich coming from an Essendon supporter, but I think Collingwood are in for a rough year.
Yeah. Anyway, I think if DeGoey can kind of sort his body issues out and actually play, he should be a 70+ average kind of forward, which would be handy.
Easy.
Brent Daniels, do you think he can bounce back to his previous year average?
I have concerns of his role this year potentially. Like I feel that you've got Oliver coming in. Callahan's gone to a new level.
Yeah.
Even like the guys they brought in late last year, like Ralston and stuff like that, played some good footy.
Yeah.
So where does he kind of fit? I think he's best 23 or whatever they call it now. 100%. But it's just 100%. More like, will we ever see? Like, is he going to be so deep that he's not relevant? I'm not sure.
I think he would absolutely have to be kicking the door down, like on the track, to get the kind of same role I guess he had 2 years ago, especially with Oliver coming in now. Like he was getting a few CBAs and that sort of stuff. I think the thing that helps probably is that it's not great, but Darcy Jones is injured. He gets a few CBAs and stuff like that. He'll probably push into that kind of role, and it leaves for less competition up forward when he's there. Can play that high half forward kind of connector role, which he was so good at. But yeah, with the injuries and stuff like that, I feel like they'll just be more conservative with him as well.
I love him as a player. It's just last year I would have been pretty bullish on him.
He was top 100 in all the ranks.
And then this year, I hope he gets back to it, but I'm just a little bit cautious. Yeah, we'll be a monitor come the preseason.
Yeah, and to be fair, he's another one, apart from that year he went really well, is always injury prone. Like he's always has big patches out of the game injured. So again, he's another one who will bite you if you're trying to contend, I think, and you end up with a 0 for a lot of the season. Mateus Philippou, I know you're big on this guy.
Oh yeah,
he's got the t-shirt on to match if you're watching it on YouTube. But so I've been trying my hardest to write off Mateus Philippou. Because he's one of your players, I just don't want him to be good. Geordie's messaging me all the time. He's like, Philippou's going to be massive this year.
Geordie's a smart man.
And I'm just like, and he knows I'm like just trying to come up with any excuse as to why he won't be.
It's kind of like when I was trying to come up with any excuse to Andrew Brayshaw not to be good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But look, I think if I'm looking at preseason reports, I was chatting to this guy, Brian, on Instagram, listener to the show. He was been at a few St Kilda trainings recently, and I was like, what's Mateus Philippou's role looking like? And he's like, mid forward, 100%. Like, because I saw some footage where he was just leading out from half forward and that sort of stuff, and I was like, sweet, he's going to be forward only. He's going to suck this year. It's going to be good. But like, looking at other training reports and watching other footage, he looks very much to be in that midfield mix, that's the only way I see him scoring well, is if he's in the midfield for a lot of the time.
Sure.
But yeah, I think he's actually going to get it. So he's going to be a pretty handy forward option, and I think he should play enough mix to keep that forward status. So,
which we like.
Unfortunately for myself, I've been bumping him up the rankings.
Just want him to stay fit this year.
That's the thing. He needs to stay fit, and that's his big gripe there against him. All right, let's move on to some breakout players. The first one I got on the list here is Joel Frazier. At the 71 average last season, what do you see his role this season, and can he kind of break out to an 80-plus territory?
I am a big fan of Frazier. I know you are too. It's just more, I actually can't picture where he's going to play, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know what position.
It's round 0, round 1 whenever they play. The centre bounce, he's on the wing. I can see his back to us on the TV.
Okay.
That's what I can see. I reckon he's playing on the wing for another season before Treloar, Libba get out of the midfield, and then he's back in. So I'm not sure if the breakout comes this year. Maybe that makes him more of a stash option. I don't know, but I think he'll still score around the 70 average mark type thing. My issue is that he might not break out this year, just go around the 70s again, and then lose the forward status because he's on the wing a lot more.
Yeah. I question, you've watched him a lot closer than me, does he have that pigginess? Like, is he almost a quality over quantity footballer to a degree?
I think a little bit, yes. I think that's a good assessment. Like, watching him, and this could just be because he's young. Like, what was he, 19 last year?
Yeah.
He seems very tentative sometimes to just win the footy. You know what I mean? Seems very much like team orientated, or like he'll be in the right spot to receive it when he's there. And maybe once he gets a bit more shit about him, builds up his strength a little bit, he might get in there a bit more. But yeah, I feel like he's definitely on the peripherals a lot more. That's why I see him as like a winger. Kind of see him kind of similar to like a Massimo D'Ambrosio type, who's just like a really good disposal, really flashy player, but on the outside.
I'm keen. I just want to see a bit more hunger this year from Joel.
Yeah, that's what I agree with that. Connor McDonald, is he the man that sees the bump with... I didn't know he had forward status. Is he the man who sees the bump with Will Day injured?
Well, if you believe all the Twitter experts, yes.
Yeah, I think so. That's why. Yeah, I'm going by that. And I just don't see who else it would be. Like, they lost Warple. They made it no secret they wanted to chase another midfield in the preseason, off-season. Didn't get it. Now they've lost Day. So they're kind of like, if you include that, wanting to have merit in there, they're already 3 players down. You know what I mean? So they have to promote from within. I think Ward gets a bit of a bump, and I think McDonald probably is the next guy in to that midfield.
McKenzie's the only other one that potentially sneaks in, but he's one that I'm closely monitoring this preseason as that kind of third banana of those 3.
I actually get McKenzie and McDonald mixed up all the time. I actually thought I was talking about McKenzie then.
McDonald's the little rat's tail.
Oh, okay. So now, yeah, he's the forward one, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the one that used to be an absolute.
No, I didn't know McDonald was a forward. I've literally just got them both mixed up.
Cam McKenzie is the blondie.
Yeah, he's a little blondie. So he's the actual guy I think is next into the midfield.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
McDonald.
But McDonald has been training.
Yes, that's those kind of blokes I'm very keen to watch. Preseason.
One of those guys is going to go in.
Yes,
they're going to receive a bump. And McDonald, given he's got forward status, he could be. And he's a flashy player as well. Like,
he's a good player, very good player.
So, and he's also one of those players that even as a forward, he's always gone around the 70 mark without getting high midfield.
Good tackler.
If he does get those CBAs up, then he is going to actually score pretty well. Now that I've got the right player in my brain.
I thought I was supposed to be the rusty one here. I'm holding this ship together.
Literally, every season I've got those 2 mixed up. Anyway, Riley Sanders is the next guy. 66 average last season. Like, again, listed as a forward. He needs to just get in that midfield, and I guess we can just rinse and repeat what we've talked about for Fraser and Liver and Treloar and all those guys. It just depends on what happens, and we probably won't see it until round 1 kicks off and we see what the midfield mix looks like.
Yeah, I think for me, my knock is that he played basically all season last year and still only managed 66.
Yeah.
And not much is moving in that Dogs midfield.
Yeah.
And I think he's behind a Fraser going in there.
I went to a gig with Aaron Bryans a few months ago, and he was talking about Riley Sanders, and I couldn't quite hear him because we're on the tram and my ears are shot. But I think he's kind of let a little bit of a rumour that Sanders is going to be on the move at the end of the season. Apparently, like, his partner is a footballer as well, or like a netballer. I can't remember. She's an AFLW or something, and she's moved. Okay. And it seems likely that he might move as well. But he's also a Tassie boy, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
that franchise is just around the corner too, so it might be biding his time. But maybe that's when we see the real upside, is if he does move.
Potentially, but then it can go two ways. It could be they give him opportunity to bump up his trade value, or they don't play him because they feel let down. Yeah,
that's true.
And either way could make sense with Bevo.
Yeah, that's true. Josh Rochelle, is he ever going to be a midfielder or a fantasy guy?
Don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, neither.
Like,
I think it's between the ears for this guy more than anything, right?
Potentially. It's also just what are the Crows going to do in there? Like, the thing that probably annoys me with the Crows a little bit, like Dawson, obviously genuine gun. Rankin can go through their leads on the way out. Saligo's very good. Like, Curtin's injured, hurts. But, like, I just don't know what they're kind of doing with a guy like Peatling in the midfield. Like, I feel that, like, you know what you're going to get with him. I reckon if I was coaching the Crows, I'd be like...
Peatling in.
Out. Peatling out of the midfield mix.
Oh, really?
Shelley in.
Yeah, I don't know. Peatling's the good in and under guy. Peatling's the guy I think who could support someone like Dawson to not kind of cop all the grunt work. You know what I mean? For the thing with the Crows, I think, is like they've already got Rankin in the midfield, and Rankin's a better midfielder than Rochelle. You can't take all your kind of flair in front of goals away from it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? So
Berry played a lot of footy last year in the guts too. Like, is he one that can come out?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like I feel like Dawson needs some support. I thought Curtin was going to be that guy because he's probably a good balance of...
Unfortunately, not anymore.
Yeah, I thought he's probably a good balance of, like, you probably got ball winning ability, but got a bit of flair on the outside as well. Can kind of move pretty well. Good dispose, that sort of stuff. And so that could take some attention away from Dawson. But yeah, like, I just don't see what you gain by having Rankin and Rochelle in that midfield together.
Unless they can figure out the perfect 50-50 split. But
yeah, I don't know. I can see if he's going to be I reckon he's a solid 70 guy if he pulls his finger out. But I just don't know if we're going to see it. That's all. Connor Butterick. We've been a fan of this guy for years now.
You especially.
Is he finally going to have his fantasy breakout?
If he is, it's going to be this year.
Yeah.
Like, from all reports, he's back on the half-back flank. Obviously bad if you're drafting him as a forward because it looks like this will be the last season of him being a forward.
Yeah.
He's obviously shown glimpses when he was at the Gold Coast, and then, they brought in so many people into that back line, and just either was back pocket, then found himself out the team at some point too. If it's ever going to happen, mate, it's this year.
I was a bit concerned because I was looking at their makeup, right? Like, Bailey Dale's your main kind of ball winner off halfback, your distributor, that sort of stuff as well. But like, arguably, Connor Butterick, has a better disposal than him, arguably. So then my thinking was then maybe he does complement him. But then they had this kid, Lockie Carmichael, out of the draft, and they would look like, and he's like a really good ball user off halfback as well. I'm like, and they got rid of Johannesson, well, he retired. I was like, maybe they just blood the kid straight away, and it does affect him, and maybe Butterick kind of plays the lockdown because he can do that role as well. But now that Carmichael's done a syndesmosis, so he's going to be out for a fair chunk as well. So now there's a hole in that kind of defence that I think Butterick does step into, because my other thinking was that Lockie Bramble was kind of that lockdown guy last year. And then if Carmichael's going to be playing, then maybe Butterick comes in as the lockdown guy and Bramble goes out. But I think Bramble will stay in, and I think Butterick will play a kind of halfback distributor role. And I think he'll go okay.
He's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, I think so too. And listed as a forward, like, I can't see him going under 65, 70. That'd be his worst case.
I'd say, yeah, 70.
70. And then, but I think it could be much higher if he kind of figures it out off that halfback and they do use him properly.
Yeah, big watch.
Caden Cleary I've got him as a breakout this season because he's coming into his third season, and he only averaged
science.
That's his science. Good underage scorer, averaged 100 plus in both of the major underage competitions. VFL numbers last season as well, 99 average there. But I think he's the kind of there's a path into the midfield for him, because I kind of mentioned this before, but the big three for Sydney is Heaney, Rowbottom and Warner, right? Goulden, yes, in the mix, but like he's more outside, starts in the wing, kind of just racks up out there. But the way I look at it is like, do Sydney actually want to have Heaney in the midfield, or is it kind of out of necessity that they need to have him in the midfield? Warner kind of similar, like he's a good forward as well when they can get him up there. So my thought is if Cleary can actually kind of come on this year and actually progress a little bit more, they might be able to use him in the midfield a bit more, and it kind of frees him up. So I can see a path to him getting more midfield time. I guess the questions is like, they want to keep Mills in defence. Like, I'd really love to know what they're doing with Mills.
Well, they did say Mills was playing defence this year.
Yeah, so like there is a path here for Cleary. Well, also someone like Sheldrick as well. But I think talent-wise, Cleary's probably a bit higher on the...
I think it was last pre-season I heard some really good reports, I think even from Sydney players, that they've got high hopes of Cleary kind of thing. So has always been on my radar.
So he's just one that's getting, unless he's injured, which I haven't checked. I probably should check that sort of stuff. But he's one that I feel like he should be getting more. Just fantasy circles should be talking about him a lot more than they actually are. That's all.
Well, real fantasy players listen to this podcast.
That's true. Last one on this breakout list is Sid Draper. Everyone's putting out their best 22s at the moment. The AFL
How dare you?
There's one. Yeah, I know. Did anyone see this? I got abused by a Crows supporter for putting out a best 23 because I haven't watched any footy yet and I haven't seen what the game plan looks like. So how can I put out a best 23? I'm just trying to make some content, guy. Anyway.
I'm just trying to get paid, man.
Anyway, so Sid Draper's injured again, and the AFL put out their best 23 for the Crows and it didn't have Sid Draper in it. So like I'm starting to actually get some real concerns about Sid Draper, because like, if you look at the top five, last year was supposed to be the gun draft for midfields, right? And if you look at the top 5 or 6, they all played significant amount of footy last year. So if you're drafting like Sid Draper in the top 5 around those guys, you expect him to be at a level to actually get in there, especially when they go to a Crows when, yes, they were the top team for most of the year, but the midfield really lacks depth. I just find it crazy that he's not playing. Are the injury concerns that bad, or like, is it another draft flop for the Crows?
No, I think they're being very cautious, and I don't hate that. Look, they were very cautious with Curtin. You know, like
they took ages to
They took ages to really get him into that side.
Actually,
and you know, like how many people are writing off Dan Curtin this time last year, saying, "Geez, he was a flop." Blah blah blah. You know, 6-12 months later, everyone's like, "Man, Crows are going to miss Dan Curtin." You know, so I think in previous years, Crows have been very quick to rush some of these kids, and it hasn't actually helped them. You look at, you know, your Chase Jones, Dan McHenrys, they've kind of gone on and done nothing. When they've actually been patient, they've got the most out of their players. Like, even go back to like Tom Duday, like they were really... He's not a fantasy gun. No, but like, he came in. He hardly played, and then he all of a sudden was like one of the best defenders, you know, in the league. And I think they're doing the same kind of thing with Curtin.
Yeah,
when they're investing time into these picks, I think it's good. He's obviously got some injury issues.
Yeah,
he's more of a stash than a breakout candidate this year.
Yeah, probably.
I think just with his being on the back foot this preseason, I think next year will be his year, but I'm definitely not writing him off.
The only thing is like just with the Crow, and I looked at his preseason highlights and watched him quite closely, and I was like, yeah, this guy's a top 5 mid. It's more that like the Crows have got a bit of a history for screwing up their first round picks. You've got your Chase Jones.
Yeah, no, I'm quite comfortable with Draper.
No worries. All right, cool. Who was that key defender that they barely played 2 seasons before retiring?
Fisher McCasey.
That's the one, McCasey. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to some of the stash options. Now, this is quite controversial. Maybe he was supposed to be in the breakouts, but
I would have swapped him and Draper.
Yeah, maybe that's not a bad idea. I got Bailey Humphrey as a stash. You're gonna have to wait one more year, is my thinking, before he truly breaks out. I just think Petrarca coming into that side just hurts him too much. I think it just really stifles his pathway to the midfield.
Not if you believe what's on Twitter.
I know, they are hyping up. But like the thing is, he looks good every preseason because he's that bullocking young kind of player. And like maybe he will genuinely overtake, and then maybe that hurts Petrarca, I don't know. But like, I think you just need Touk Miller to either retire or Humphrey to genuinely overtake him for him to kind of properly break out into an 80-plus kind of player.
Counter argument.
Yeah.
I feel like Humphrey's a great pickup this year because of the forward status, and he's probably going to have it again next year.
I think that's
so.
fair.
If you're starting a keeper league, or you know you're looking towards next year, I think you've got 2 years of him with mid forward status, and I think that's a big tick.
So he's a stash.
Yeah, but also not like a stash where you're like, he's not going to be any good to me this year. Like he's still going to be just as good as like a fucking McInerney or someone we're talking about at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be
That's true.
better than those guys probably.
Yeah.
But next year it's when you're going to see the best of it.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the other thing is as well, like if he doesn't get the midfield time that he wants, there was already a lot of talk about clubs hunting him for a trade back to Melbourne.
Yep.
All that sort of stuff.
We explored it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And like if he goes, say, to Melbourne, I think Melbourne was the one chasing hard. If he goes to Melbourne next year, look out. Like, so if you're picking him up now, he could really explode next year. But yeah, I've just got him as a stash because I just don't see... I can see him definitely getting into the 70s as an average. I'm just not sure that 80 plus comes, and that doesn't kind of come as a breakout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then as well, Sid Draper won't get 80 plus next season, so I don't know why I had him in there. Anyway, Murphy Reid, I think, is a stash. Only had the 55 average. I think he's just a player with that much talent that he doesn't end up in the midfield eventually. Like, he's got to end up there. I think it's just going to take a while for some of the other ones to regress first.
Well, Brayshaw 26, Sarong 24, Correct. Young 24. I think the knock on that is that Fremantle aren't a great scoring team.
They weren't last year, no.
Like Brayshaw was the only one that averaged over 100.
Oh, fantasy. I thought you meant forward.
No, fantasy. Forward. Like, so even if he is in there a little bit more this year, it's not going to be that significant bump, you know, taking him from a 55 to an 85 or something.
That's why I'm stashing. Because I could see long-term someone like Young going back to a halfback flank.
Yeah, no. I got him in a deep dynasty league and I'm very excited.
Yeah, he's going to be a gun. But you're going to have to wait like 3 or 4 years, I reckon, before he kind of gets to that level where he's scoring 80 most weeks. You know?
Totally.
Taj Houghton, I got there. You know, to be honest, like I got offered him in a trade, and the only thing I really knew about him, like I watched his VFL game I watched the highlights of his VFL game where he absolutely dominated. Played at AFL, showed some signs, whatever. But like, he's one I'm picking up purely just on he was the highest averaging underage scorer in that year.
Yeah, I genuinely know nothing about him.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, and I've got him on my team now. I've got him on my list, and I got him in a trade because I was offered it to me. But like, I think he's genuinely, like, for all the hype he gets, and from what I saw in that VFL game, like he was definitely ready for AFL level. You know, I think there's just like no reason to rush these kids at Richmond though, especially one with he had an ACL injury. I think last year. So like, he'll play. But I'm just not sure that he'll go like, you know, head into the midfield, you know, that sort of stuff.
Stash for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And Leo Lombard's the other one I reckon we should be stashing. I know the preseason reports for him are very high, but again, that midfield is stacked, you know.
He's not going to get any time.
There's 4 guys in front of like those, him and Bailey Humphrey and all that sort of stuff at this point in time. So like,
plus you know, like Euland is obviously hyped up as their early pick. Like,
he'll be more on the outside, but I think it's going to be tricky for these guys to actually overtake one another. They'll be a good real footy side, and the kind of your Andersons, your Rows, probably Tooks and your Petrarcas are going to be pretty handy.
Yeah, they're not having less of a role for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's the only issue I have with these Gold Coast youngsters. That said, I think Leo Lombard is probably just a season where he just tries to lock down a consistent spot. There's guys like him. There's that Jake Rogers kid that was rated really highly as well. There's like a few that just haven't even locked down spots yet. And they got so much young talent. They do. That it's going to be pretty handy to get them all in. Pretty hard to get them all in. Don't have too many rookies to talk about because we have put out a whole draftee analysis kit, which was actually your brainchild.
It was.
Kaes, back in the day. But you're glad that you don't have to contribute as much to it anymore.
I'm still waiting for my royalties for this year, but that's an offline discussion.
I've made it a lot easier these days in terms of editing. It's now... All I do is put all the data into a spreadsheet, press one button, and it spits out the whole document fully edited for me.
Nerd.
It's awesome. But yeah, let's talk about a few here that I like. Aiden Schubert, we mentioned earlier. Now, he was one of the highest averaging. I think he averaged 100 plus in the Sanford Under-18s as a key forward. Played a senior game, averaged 90 plus in the Under-18 champs. He was one of the highest scorers there in the Under-18 champs. He's a key forward in a really dominant side and a dominant key forward at that. But he's that more athletic type who can ruck as well. I don't have super high. I don't think he has like 100 plus averaging or anything like that. But I think he could be one of those key forwards that kind of gets to those kind of Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, maybe Jeremy Cameron, like not in terms of talent, but maybe more so in terms of their fantasy scoring, those kind of 70s to 80s to 90 type guys eventually. Okay. So he's one I've got on my list. What do you think? You know much about him?
I don't know anything about him. But my question would be if, say, in our league we have, 36 players or 40 players, whatever. If you were in a league like that, 12 teams roughly, would he be drafted this year? Like, would you see any signs of life this year? Or is he just a purely dynasty kind of stuff?
I wouldn't draft him, because I just don't know how I would keep him. There's no point.
Yes.
the good thing is that at Hawthorn they don't have that many good key forwards. He could genuinely overtake, but he's not going to be at a level where he's scoring well.
No, it'll be like
and he
a
won't be at that
50.
level for 5 years.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so unless you can stash him in a dynasty, that's probably the only way you can do it. I'd say.
Fair.
Cooper Duff Titler, sorry, the unicorn they call him. Just a ruck that plays like a midfielder.
Did he ask Luke Jackson if he can borrow that nickname?
Well, very similar type player, probably, and he can play as a key position forward as well. So it's a good comparison, but probably more on the kind of midfield ruck sort of thing than a key forward, and Jackson kind of tips the other way. So will be a slow burn, but I reckon he is the next ruck pig of the competition coming up. But again, you're going to be waiting 4 or 5 years.
All right, if you're in a deep dynasty league,
Yep.
is he a top 10 kind of pick?
Yep, I think so. Or if not, very close.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, again, you're going to be waiting a long time. The other one's Sullivan Roby. Probably a quality over quantity type operator, but if you watch him, he's just like a lot of talent. He's a real bull inside in that side of the midfield. But probably end up as a mid forward. Probably as like, I know it's probably a bad example, but you know, like a Petrarca or like I was going to say prime Jordan De Goey, like you know, guys
For that one game.
more so that guys can go to the centre bounce, but then kind of play forward,
yes.
that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, like that's probably that kind of guy he is, which might hamper his scoring, but
He's probably the third in line at Essendon, I think, for a debut.
Well, that's the thing. Like, well, yeah, I think so too. But I reckon like all three. Like, I reckon.
Yes, I mean,
Sharp,
but
Farrow.
I think like Sharp is almost round 1-y.
Yeah,
I think, and
Farrow's looking
Farrow, they're
lightning.
just absolutely talking up.
Do you think Farrow? This is kind of going off topic though, but do you think Farrow could push who's your captain, Andrew McGrath, into the midfield again? Because he can play across that half-back line. You've got Ridley and Redmond.
Yeah, well, Ridley's never fucking fit.
Yeah.
But like we're playing like Clark and Reed, and who's the other youngster?
Jackson Pryor. Oh, youngster. I know you're talking about
Archie Roberts. Like, so we don't have a lot of experience in the defence.
Yeah.
So that would be would be my only knock, that like you're going to be playing an 18-year-old and a couple 20-year-olds, and I just don't know if that's it might work. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyways, let's get into the listener questions before we wrap up the show. But remember, there is an extra extended kind of piece that goes out on the Keeper League website for the members out there. So if you want to sign up, head to the link in the description below and check that out. And you can keep listening to us after the show. First question comes from Merlevingian. I don't know how to say that. Merlevingian. These Twitter handles are getting
pretty good.
Most ridiculous. Is it time to give up on Humphrey, or do I hold until he leaves the sun? Don't give up. Don't give up Humphrey. But you might be waiting one more year, that's all. Again, like in our league, he probably will get held because the guy who owns him is in dire straits in terms of injuries and stuff like that, so we may as well keep another player like Humphrey. But like if he was in my team still, because I had him last year, like I'd find it very hard to hold him if I'm contending.
He's the one that I think I've always talked about this every year on this podcast. I think when some guys like this have forward status,
you just got to do it.
They're a flyer. Like you just got to hold them because like cash in. Potentially this 1 year.
Yeah. At Mumu Oliver, is there any hope for Will Graham? I don't think I had him in my best 23.
He didn't play since round 9 last year.
Yeah.
I think
he was injured for a bit though, I reckon.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of guys coming over the top of him.
I lie. I had him as my last picked player on the bench. But like, yeah, does he play as a forward? Like you've got Petrarca, you've got Humphrey, you've got Took that's going to go through there. I just don't see how he kind of works in that midfield and that forward mix to like actually get a role. So I don't think there's much hope for Will Graham, to be honest. I think like a year ago he was a good like kind of bit player for their side, but they've got too much elite talent now that I think he's in a bit of trouble. At Daddy Kang wants to know, both Leo Lombard and Philippou have had injuries and slower starts to their careers than expected. Is there less hype this off-season there is less hype for them this off-season. What do you think we can expect from playing time perspective and fantasy output? If Philippou's fit, I reckon he's like an 80-plus guy.
It's Philippou season, Daddy Kang.
I think Leo Lombard, you're going to be waiting a while. But I think long-term he's still going to be a good inside midfielder for the Suns. I honestly think like Lombard is going to be someone you're going to have to persist with for like another 3 or 4 years. That's the thing, which makes it very hard to keep in keep leagues unless you've got
if you're choosing between the two, Philippou every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. At Matt Purry with a bunch of numbers after it, can Darcy Wilson improve his average, or will we see the same wing outside role this year? What do you reckon, Kaes?
I was once really quite excited about Darcy Wilson.
Yep.
Not as much anymore.
Nah.
Like, you know, Flanders coming across, you know, like not that's a wing role, but like I think it effectively pushes the depth out.
It's more that I think people saw him as an inside mid. Like I know he played juniors as a wing, but they thought like this happens all the time. People see these like junior wingmen see high possession count and it's like, oh, he could totally make it as Elijah Sardis was one, you know? He could totally make it as an insider. Trying to think of like, Finn O'Sullivan probably last year, people probably thinking he can probably make it as an infielder. There's been quite a few like throughout the kind of years, I'm kind of racking my brain at the moment, I can't think of another one, but I know there's been a few that like, a lot of people think this guy could make, he plays on the wing. Toby Travali is another one. Everyone's like, he's a good wingman as a junior, outside kind of type. It's like, nah, he could definitely go in the midfield one day. Like, I feel like a few of these players are just wingers, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think, like, Windhager...
Caleb Windsor's another one.
Yeah, Windhager kind of came... we saw his trajectory last year.
I think their midfield is pretty much going to be Sam Flanders and Windhager is like their two... as their kind of two main kind of guys.
You got Nans, you got McRae, you've got, you know, Filippo, probably Hugo Garcia, I think.
Even Max Hall. Max Hall was getting CBA time. I can see him going in there as well. So, like... I just think like they don't need to put him on the inside. He is probably just a winger. Yep. That's it. I do think he can like bump his average up to a 75 and he's got forward status.
Like at the current, you know, what's he, 20 at the current average, you know, I'm more excited about him than like a Ed Langdon or even what's his name? Justin McInerney.
Worst case, you're going to get like eventually going to get a mid-70s guy and if hopefully has forward status enough to... kind of make himself useful.
Once again, third-year breakouts possible, and you know, guys like that with forward status, I think you just kind of bump them a bit higher because you never know what you'll get.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go with Gumnuts. Will we see any decent scoring improvement from key forwards like Tracy, Neil, Cadman, Riccardi, Morris, etc., or is it the same with incremental development? For Tracy, I think Fremantle, like last year, they weren't genuinely like. Probably considered finals contenders to a lot later in the season. Scoring dried up. They weren't scoring as freely as they did last year. But I think if their midfield can take their next step, and then, you know, with like players like McVie and stuff like that, they can kind of tighten up defensively. Hopefully it leads to more opportunities to attack. And someone like Tracy, I can see bumping up his average just for a few more goals per game, a few more marks and that sort of stuff because he's got pretty solid mitts on him. Neil, I can't really see him a bump with Cameron on the side. Can you?
No, it's just that kind of Geelong team aren't always the biggest scorers.
They're all consistent across the board. They're all 70s to 80s guys, but no one really goes huge.
Yep.
I could see Cadman taking the next step.
Cadman can play.
Yeah, I think like he's probably going to kill off Hogan and probably the hopes of Riccardi.
Well, Hogan's injured still, I think, or recovering. Cadman's got genuine tricks. I think Riccardi's a great play this year with ruck forward status. Like I think he's almost a must-have. Not must-have, but you know what I mean? Like
handy to have.
Very handy to have because you can kind of have him as cover if you've got good forwards as a ruck or, you know.
I think Cadman's genuine breakout. I'm not saying 80-plus type season, but I think for a key forward, he could go into the 70s.
Yeah, I think this is Cadman's year.
Is he going to be Sam Darcy-like, you know?
I don't know if they're that good this year.
Well, that's the thing. Like Phil thought we've had Darcy over the last 2 years. Like it's like there's hope again for key forwards. You know what I mean?
I want to see some pre-season pictures of Cadman with biceps bigger than watermelons. Stuff like that before I get that.
Yeah.
Logan Morris, the other one there, I think he's in for a good year. I think Oscar Allen coming across will help.
And Hipwood still being... Yeah. He only did his ACL like real late, didn't he? I think he did it like... He played for 4 weeks and they realised he had it. And so he got the surgery like the first week of finals or something like that.
I think Oscar Allen there will help a bit of a chop out and we'll see some good stuff from Logan this year.
Yeah, so I think Tracy, yes. Neil, no. Cadman, yes. Riccardi, same. Morris, it's incremental. A little bit better. Clyde Frog wants to know, is Elijah Hollands, if Elijah Hollands gets an SPP lifeline at Carlton, would you hold him in a 10-team, 16-keeper league or a 10-team, 20-keeper league? I'd keep him in the 20 where you've got a bit of depth.
I don't know, like...
He's a talented player and he's probably a walk-up starter if he gets all his off-season, off-field issues right.
Yeah, but like he couldn't even get a game last year. And
but I don't think that was talent-wise. I think that was just a lot of shit going on, you know? It's risky because there's obviously off-field issues, and that's what kind of...
See, my thing with him is, though, like, you could put him back in the pool, and he's not going first round. He's not going second round.
There's too much risk involved.
You know, like, people are... He's gonna naturally just...
Slide.
Yeah. So I think don't keep him, and
try to pick him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a better option. It's probably, unless you've got nothing better to keep with. But yeah, I'd probably say it's target him in your draft. If
Risk
you redraft.
is higher than the reward, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. Iron Tiger, thoughts on Seth Campbell? Jesus, with him getting CBAs at the end of the year, with word of him getting a Dylan Moore style connector role. So I think he's that young midfielder, the young forward that played at the end of the game, at the end of the season.
Yeah, I heard the same reports. Interesting. Like, I am very confused as to what Richmond like.
I'm very confused as to who all the Richmond players are, because they're probably the team I watched the least last season.
But, what does Layla look like this year? Do we see, Houghton play more? Like, all these young kids that they recruited, you Cumming and you Grill, you know, like...
There's so much talent on that list.
Yeah, I need to see some serious preseason games before I get... I think there's excitement levels for these Tigers players. It's just like, where are you divvying that up is the big question.
Well, like Sam Banks 3 years ago, when someone drafted him in our league, I was like, who the hell is that guy? And
he's
then,
a good player.
Look at him, So there could well be some good players on that side. And knowing the talent that they have and what they've drafted there is going to be, it's just there's so much. It's so hard to pinpoint who are going to be the big fantasy guys out of it. That's what I found anyway. Ben Blake, last question of the day, asks, who misses out in Sydney's forward line after the Kerno edition? Is it McDonald, McLean or a Marty?
I think McLean.
McLean is the backup ruck guy though, isn't he?
Yeah, but I just feel, aren't you telling me this year that you got to have to jump?
You are.
So like a Marty's probably that backup ruck then.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't mind that.
And I think they're not gonna I feel they're indebted to play Logan McDonald because they wasted the high pick on him.
They wasted.
So if it's, I think it's McDonald versus McLean purely because Amati can play that second ruck, which will effectively be a better option.
Yeah.
And I think they'll go with Logan over McLean.
Yeah, I don't mind that call. Honestly, I don't know who's the body guy and who's the jumper guy, but if you reckon Amati's the better jumper out of the two, then he's probably the one they'd go with.
I think he is.
Yeah, so McLean's probably the one in the outer. Anyways, that wraps it up for this week's podcast. Where can people find you these days, Kaes? Are you anywhere on socials?
Well, I'm going to drop my Fantasy Classic team reveal on YouTube like everyone else.
You're not doing that. You'll never do that.
Everyone seems to be doing it, so I just want to get involved. No, my Twitter handle's still there.
Oh, you still TK or Kaes?
I'm still there. I'm just...
bit dormant.
I'm dormant.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What about your Dare to Dream stuff?
Yes, daretodream.com.au if you're interested in horse ownership opportunities in South Australia, or listen to our Frontrunner podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Yeah. So I think it's on YouTube. That's right. Yeah, get around our stuff at Keep League Pod on all the major social platforms. Do a Google, you'll find us there. Make sure you get around the Keeper platform. They are it's good. They are sponsoring this show for the preseason, so make sure you look after them. Move your league over there. That's what the real fantasy players, the real Keeper League players do. That's what we do. So make sure you're moving over to that platform, and then give them a follow as well on the Instagram. They're doing some good stuff on their Instagram. Me and Ryan have been conversing about ways to script more graphics and kind of import more stats into graphics and that sort of stuff.
You guys are well into it.
Yeah, we're getting pretty deep down the rabbit hole with that sort of stuff. He's actually, I don't know if he sent me an ad that he made, which was completely scripted, like JavaScript. Didn't actually have to do any video editing, and it looked amazing. Like, I'll show you it after the pod. But yeah, so get around that. And make sure you, if you want to support the podcast, please sign up as a member. Get access to all the bonus stuff, including the individual ranking tool I've just putting out my own rankings next week. And you'll get the extra extended version of this episode. I think that's all we need to plug, so we can wrap it up. Thanks heaps for coming on the show today, Kaes.
Thanks for letting me back in.
Sorry I snubbed you at the start, but I made it work, all right? I got you in.
Can't kick the OG out, brother.
You can't. All right. See you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.
See you up.